what I actually did was I went on a founder retreat. So I went away for 48 hours to a cabin. It was 3 days, but 2 nights and 3 days, and no kids, no wife. And I just thought about things, and I asked myself a lot of questions. Sherry, my wife, has actually written a book called The Zen Founder Guide to Founder Retreats. And it is filled with a list of questions to ask yourself and to ruminate on and to think about in quiet, almost meditation in essence. And so I didn't listen to podcasts as I normally do, didn't listen to books. And I just thought, and I thought through all these questions. What have I loved doing my whole life? What have I not? What do I want this next act to look like? What do I not want to do? And as I got towards the end of that 2 days, I realized what I've been doing for free for a hobby for 12, 14 years was trying to help, was doing my own entrepreneurial things and fulfilling my desires to be creative and learn. But it was also helping other entrepreneurs succeed. And that brings me a ton of joy. And so that's when I realized, Tiny Seed is just the next step of that. Like I could still do microconf and I could keep the podcast, and Tiny Seed is just rounds out that ecosystem. And that's where that's when I started getting really excited about, I could do this now for 10, 20 years versus every SaaS app I always launched. I was like, do I want to run this for 10 or 20 years? That doesn't sound that fun. But when I think of Tiny Seed, microconf, Startup for the Rest of Us, I'd already done 2 of those things for almost a decade. I could certainly see doing them for another decade. And Tiny Seed is, in that same ecosystem, as I've said.